I am Monica Daniel. I'm an EdTech specialist here with the CNI department, and I have Alicia here from second grade to help facilitate the chat and help share some of her experiences with you as well. And I'm just excited to have you here today. So for today's norms, we're asked that you stay muted. Please use the chat. We ask that cameras are on. We ask that you be patient and positive. For our BCSD core priorities, we are focused on priority 2, a culture of teaching and learning. And our vision is to be the model of educational excellence, equity, and innovation. And as for our mission, we are always working towards educating all of our students at the highest level of academic excellence to become collaborative, creative, and critical thinkers. Our learning intention is that we learn some of the resources that we have within the district to help support our students with asynchronous learning. And for our success criteria, we are hopeful that we learn to navigate the asynchronous guide. The guide includes 10 programs that are within the district that you have at your disposal. They are not the only tools available for asynchronous, but they are some that we kind of dove into and pulled out a few tasks from each program that you can use with students. This is the guide. I'm going to go ahead and click and jump right into it. So if we preview it, it has TK through second. And this is the menu that we have created for TK through second. You will see that it starts with a task, which is the assignment the students would do. From there, it's broken down into the steps the teacher would need to do to assign. And then it moves on to the student. How does the student access it? How does the student turn in this work, depending on which program it is? And then the monitor piece. So many of these programs, they do monitor student time in the program. From there, that's exactly how all of the 10 programs are set up. Below, you will see there might be some suggestions as well as a contact person if you have any questions about the particular program. But you can always contact myself, Carrie Flores, Rachel, or Susan. Next, we have the supplemental tasks. So I'm going to go ahead and model just a few of them. We're going to Renaissance, and then scrolling down to my Freckle, and then getting into an account. So in my teacher dashboard, we have access on the left-hand side of my screen. If I scroll down to math, you can see math content. So if I scroll down just a little bit more, this right here is the build the basics. So in our K through 2, you will see that number basics is automatically in their Freckle. When they access their Freckle and go into it, they automatically can practice this. There is nothing additional that you need to do to have them jump in there and practice. Number facts and facts practice as well. K2, it will start with addition and subtraction. However, if you wanted to assign it and have it appear specifically in their backpack for them to practice, you would have to select assign. You can select all your students or select 1 or 2. So if I select none, I can then go and select some of my students. You can scroll down and actually select a different operation for them to work on. If I select subtraction, I can select assign immediately. And now that is sent off to the students automatically, and it'll have a little icon in their account showing them that they have something specific. There are these options to sign in through Google Classroom or copy the link and paste in Google Classroom, but Alicia can share with you the best way for students to access this.
Even though they give you the option to directly create an assignment in Google Classroom from Freckle, it's not the best way for students to access your assignment because it reroutes the students outside of Clever, and therefore it asks the students to type in a class code, which the students don't know. So the only way to easily have students get into Freckle is to teach them to click on the dashboard, go to Renaissance, find the pig for Freckle, and then check for the little red circle, usually from my teacher, and they know to click on that first, then do something else afterwards. So using the link in Freckle, even though it seems easier, is harder for the students because that link takes them outside of Clever, and therefore it doesn't log them in immediately. They need a class code.
You can also access adaptive math. So this is where you can pick the specific domains you're wanting the students to practice. Again, I can hit assign, pick all my students or some of my students, and select a specific domain. So if you are teaching on base 10, I can specifically assign that. And in Freckle, the students for K2, their adaptive work is a little blue car, and that icon changes by grade level. Again, if we are assigning it, that goes into their backpack and it will stand out as opposed to the basic facts and number fact practice that's automatically there. Here and show you what it looks like on the student's end.
Students access Freckle by logging into Renaissance and scrolling down until they see the pink tile that says Freckle. Once they click on it, it takes them directly to the Freckle homepage. This particular student has math, English, from my teacher, and my store. The reason this student has an English tile is because their teacher has assigned something in that subject. If the student isn't a reader, they can click on the audio and it will read what the tile is. The From My Teacher tile shows all the assignments that the teacher has assigned directly to that student. If the student goes to math, it takes them to the math page. This is the page that all kindergarten through second grade students see by default. It contains number basics, which is basic skills for math such as counting. It also contains number facts. This is like basic math facts, but it also includes some audio and visual supports.
And if I scroll back just a little bit, it does show that they have a specific assignment assigned to them. So it's red here, and this is their little avatar. Susan is always sharing that the avatar is something they love to update and change. And they do earn coins. And I think Alicia was going to share a little bit about that as well.
Before I get into that, there was a great suggestion in the chat about how you can give multiple assignments in Freckle, but then in Google Classroom, be more specific about the assignment you want your students to complete for the day by writing that in the title so the students know which one to go to. Another thing you could do, she hasn't modeled it yet, is that you can assign assignments for future dates. So if you're planning everything on Sunday night and you have 5 lessons you want to do, you could push one out each day so that the students could log on each day and get something new. One of the ways I know that we were talking about how to motivate students to complete their work, to do their practice, is to make a big deal and to celebrate gains. And how Freckle does that is by earning coins, which makes their avatar be really cool. Or they can be, I think I was trying to make mine look like they're going to the beach. And so you can earn coins to personalize your avatar. My kids just love earning coins and then bragging about who has the most to each other in the morning when we have our morning meeting. Like, I have 1,700 coins in Smarty Ants or Freckle. And I'm like, well, use them. Like, no, I want to see how many I can get by the end. I'm like, okay. I know I haven't done it yet, but Bethany was saying how you can give extra coins to students in Freckle who are doing well. Maybe they're struggling on a lesson, but they're completing them and they're trying.
Below under math and hit reports, there are multiple types of reports here that you can go through and find which one is best for you to look at. Mystery Science is new. It is available to everyone. It is geared TK through 5th grade. Assign a task, what the teacher does. Students do access this from Google Classroom because they do not have student accounts. And a way to monitor it, if you are wanting to monitor this specific program, is to assign something in Google Classroom and have them respond there. So I'm going to open up my Mystery Science. And this is an account. It looks exactly the same for every teacher. You'll see that you have lessons, mini lessons, and distance learning. For distance learning, asynchronous work without the teacher, lessons here by grade level are not the best options, specifically because they do come with, like, they really do need that teaching component, but then you could assign things later. So the best piece to use in a asynchronous way would be a mini lesson. They have hundreds of mini lessons, And Doug, the creator of Mystery Science, creates them weekly based on questions that students ask him, and then he answers them. So they're real quick and easy little video that does stop and ask questions. If your students are reading, they can respond to those in a writing prompt, or they can just skip over those questions. So I'm going to show you one that I believe was very popular this week with St. Patrick's Day.
Hi, it's Doug. St. Patrick's Day. It's a time when people wear green and some people even dress up in costume. But for me, St. Patrick's Day always made me think of rainbows. I remember when I was young, seeing a rainbow in the springtime and getting on my bike and riding toward it, hoping that I could find a pot of gold. I never did get there. Someone named Joseph has a question about rainbows. Let's give him a call now.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, Joseph.
I have a question for you. How are rainbows made?
That's a great question.
Normally, the sky outside doesn't have that many colors, just blue.
So he goes on to answer the question. It then moves on to some discussion questions, as well as
For a long time.
continuing with the information he's presenting. It jumps to a bonus, which could vary depending on the lesson that he shares with them. And then it goes to a voting component.
Now, for the next episode.
The voting component is at the very end. He says, for my next episode, what should I make? And these questions are coming directly from students. And then Doug says he does get in contact with students, and that's the student you see in the videos at the very beginning. So he's answering the specific questions from students. So with this one, if you're wanting to share one with your students, you would select either share student link. You can copy this link and paste it in a Google Classroom, or you would hit Google Classroom, and here it would prompt me to go to my Google Classroom. I have another window appear to the left of my screen, and I can then create an assignment, and it will automatically link. So the only way students can get into Mystery Science is from their Google Classroom. Alicia, did you have any questions before I do that?
I was like, before they went off to explore, did they want me to show how to find out how many coins a student has on Freckle and how to give them more, so that they can try doing those steps too during their practice?
Yes, I am seeing some nods.
So I have just logged on to Freckle through Clever or the dashboard, and I'm going to look over here to my left-hand side where we have all of our drop-down menu, and you're going to click on roster. The roster is going to bring up all of your students that have been automatically synced through Renaissance. And for any student you have, you're just going to go over to that little gear, and it's going to give you some options for the student. And what you're going to be looking for is that update coin balance. You can click on it, and then it's going to show you that currently this student has 1,700 coins, and maybe I'm going to gift her 1, 2, or 50, depending on how I thought she did for the week. And then it could be a surprise saying, hey, you have more coins. Go shopping this morning while you come into virtual class or during your asynchronous time. So one more time, it's just when you first log into Freckle, it's going to be on that drop menu to the left-hand side, and it's going to be under roster. And then for any student who you wish to add coins or just see their value, you can go up to that little gear, click on the gear, and it's going to be update coin balance. And then you can see what this person has. Drew loves to make his avatar and dress him up so you can see he doesn't have very many, but that's because he's been spending them. So he would probably very much like to get a little extra bonus every Friday if I said, hey, you did all of your lessons, here's a little bonus for you.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Our last component is the sharing of tools. So we have created a Padlet where teachers can add things that they've used with students, things that have been successful, and they are linked here, as well as in the guide. They are linked under each grade span where it says share your tool. So if I select Padlet, I can go right into the Padlet, and we can see that we have TK through 2nd, 3rd through 5th, and 6th through 8th. So some of these may work for you, even though it might be in the 3 through 5th or 6th through 8th. If you scroll down, you can see that there are additional links to specific resources that teachers have used or like using with their students, as well as a new column we just recently added were some sample schedules. Alicia, can you share a little bit about this one?
I've been experimenting with my students this past week, trying to figure out what's best for my students because they're used to me being big teacher, watching them and pushing things out to them. And what I found is my students need a specific assignment and a specific time it's due. So what I've created is like a daily to-do list. They would click on it in the morning and it would be linked to everything they need to work on. They would have timers they can click on, say 20 minutes, because they're used to that for recess when it goes off. They know, oh, recess is over, or oh no, I need to go to the next thing. And so Smarty Ants is a really big one for us. So they would have 20 minutes of that, and they would have like a goal of 100 minutes. And so each morning I would give shout outs to those who had reached their minutes or give a little encouragement to those that didn't. And then they could go to on my own, and these would be the assignments I would have created in Google Classroom. You could link them directly, or they could automatically know to go to that topic in Google Classroom to complete it. And then you can do Maya and they use just whatever you're very comfortable with and your students are. You could give them that to-do list to make it comfortable and saying, hey, all of this needs to be done by lunch because we're going to talk about it in the afternoon, or everything's going to need to be done in the afternoon because we're going to talk about it in the morning. So just kind of keeping them, oh, we are going to use this information. We are going to talk about it the next day. And that's the only way I can keep my kids with me, because I gave them like, you have all week to do this slide deck, and nobody started it, or like half my class didn't even start until Friday, and then they didn't have enough time to finish it. And so I just need to keep my class very with me. A little less freedom, a little bit more schedule and structure, but it's where they feel comfortable to do things by themselves. I think I even created one for like your TK kindergarten. If you don't want to go through a Google Classroom, you could give them kind of like the all at once calendar, I think, that you've been giving them. And then you could link a Google Classroom assignment. They could click on it and find the video. You could link a Google form with the story they listened to, and then they can rate it 1 to 5 if they liked it. You can link them to the dashboard so they can click on Freckle, and then they would know to go through these assignments. And then there's little timers that hopefully the parents could click on to help keep them organized independently. So it's a lot of just taking what you're doing right now and tweaking it just a little bit to see what works and what doesn't. So I'm really glad you came to this training so you can kind of experiment with some of these programs and see which one catches their interest. I know I just did a mystery science one, kind of like a carrot. I gave it to them today and I tied in an art project, and then they had to finish it in the morning. So in the afternoon, they all got to hold up their art projects and talk about the mystery science video that they listened to kind of prove that they were doing their work.
I'm talking to myself, right? I'm just talking. I was like, do. Sorry about that. If you can take just a moment to post something, if you have something to add, and then we will work on wrapping up today's session. No, we only have less than 3 minutes. I want to respect your time. All this information is also on the DFP. So it's linked in 2 different places on the DFP. You can go to EdTech and you will see asynchronous at the very top. If you select that, you will see that the guide is here, as well as all the videos that are linked in the guide are also here below. So you can find the specific video that you're wanting to revisit or preview. Alicia and I really do appreciate you coming today.